Ways to know that you are a super empath. You want to talk about it? Hey, I'm Harlem and I'm just here. I just came to say hey to you guys as usual and talk about this thing called super empaths and how to know that you are a super empath. One of the ways you can tell you're a super empath is with discernment. It's like when you meet people for the first time, or you meet your friends or a potential partner, and you automatically pick up on like bad energy. It sounds a little kooky, but it happens. So one of the ways you can know that you are a super empath is that you have discernment about people. You feel their energy. Just the same way as an empath would feel like people's energy, as far as like you can walk in somebody else's shoes, you can feel their pain, you can feel their sadness. A super empath feels like bad intentions from people immediately. They sense they'll know when you're a good person, and they'll know when you're a bad person. And the crazy thing about people is that, in general, whether you're a super empath or an empath, is that we get to choose who we entertain and who we interact with. And being human, sometimes a super empath can pick up that a person is a bad person and they still want to engage with them. But most of the time, and a lot of people choose to say, I don't want to engage with this person because this person is off. But a lot of us choose to still interact with people who we pick up as bad energy or, not a good person. That's one of the ways. Another way you can figure out that you are a super empath is you're combative with toxic people. Like, say for instance, if you are with friends and they're talking about somebody, it could be a stranger, it could be anybody. You always defend the person that doesn't defend themselves. So like if a person's talking about a stranger and they say, oh my God, her dress is so ugly, you'll probably come in defense like, I don't see anything wrong with her dress, or, and you'll probably end up defending the person that you don't even know with your friends. So that's another way you could know that you are a super empath, just always in defense of other people, even strangers sometimes. Okay. And another way you can tell you're a super empath is just you combative with toxic people. You fight. You don't run away. Most people run away from toxic people. They run away from fights. Hence why empaths and super empaths get stuck with people with narcissistic traits and narcissists and psychopaths and all of those, crazy labels that are put on people. That's why we tend to get, surrounded by those type of people, is because a lot of the times we are very curious people. We want to find out why. Why does this person do this? Why is this person that? Oh, I'm so intrigued. We get intrigued by certain behaviors. And I think sometimes a lot of us believe that we can fix people, and we all know you can't fix anybody. But sometimes you feel like if I just show them, that I'm not like other people, that they'll change. And that's not the case. And that's for both super empaths and empaths. The only thing about a super empath is that we feel empathy just like a empath. We feel it to like the 10th power. Like we feel like we feel like if you hurt, I'm hurt. If you're crying, I'll probably start crying. That's how empaths are. But a super empath is like, if you angry, I'm angry. If you angry with me, I'm angry with you. So it's like a fight. Like you catch on really quick to certain behaviors, and you when someone disrespects you or violates you, you go straight into fight mode. So the anger energy is really high. The sadness energy is really high. You know, all those emotions, they are really like at a 10. So that's how another way you can tell that you are a super empath. I don't know if I missed out on anything. I'm sure I did, because it's probably hundreds of ways that you could tell. But I figured out that I was a super empath many years ago from a relationship that I was in, because let me see, I started a relationship with someone, and after being in a relationship for a long time, I mean 2 decades, and my husband had passed away, so I entered a new relationship. And in the beginning, of course, the love bombing, it was fun and exciting, and you know, it was new love and everything was good. And maybe around the 3rd month, everything just started to change. Like he started to nitpick and criticize, and you know, and I had never been through any behavior like that from a man. As a matter of fact, with my husband, he never really, I'm not gonna say never really, he never yelled at me. He never argued with me. The argument more was like, okay, I understand. It was more like if I had an issue, we were like adults. We talked about it. He always understood. As a matter of fact, one of his lines that he would say to me would be, happy wife, happy life. So going from a normal, healthy relationship to going into a toxic relationship, it was like a big change. Everything was like, why does he do this? Why does he do that? Why? So early in a relationship, when he started to oh, excuse my baby, she's playing Roblox, so I decided to shoot this video. She's not in school. Yeah, okay. So early in a relationship, when he started to display like narcissistic tendencies, you know, he was not diagnosed. I self-diagnosed him myself. He, like, I would always look up things that he would do. And like myself, I didn't know anything about narcissism. I'll pause it. She's gonna. Okay. I'm back. So, what was I saying? Yeah, I would look up certain behaviors that he would display to me, because I would see them as being odd. So I would often like look them up. So say for instance, if he was giving me the silent treatment, I would look up, why does someone stop speaking to someone for no apparent reason? And I would either Google it or try to find a book on it, or, you know, look it up on the internet, other ways. And it would always come up, this is called a silent treatment. It's a tactic that narcissists use to, you know, basically make their partners uncomfortable or confuse them. So then let's say it's triangulation. So I would say, why does this person try to cause conflict with other people? And I would look it up, Google it, other ways of looking things up, and it would come up. It's triangulation. It's a tactic that narcissists use, and that word narcissist kept coming up. As a matter of fact, I remember like looking up a lot of things, and just even the gaslighting. And I wasn't using these words. This was things that was happening where I would look up, why is this person trying to confuse me by moving things around or saying I said things that I didn't say? And there go that word again. This is a tactic that narcissists use. It's called gaslighting, to confuse and disarm their, partners. And it was so many other things in that word, narcissist. Every time I looked up something, it kept coming up. And this was before like the narcissist whole pandemic thing was happening. Nowadays, everybody's a freaking narcissist. Everybody and their mama is a narcissist. But this was before like that whole thing had even started. Like what I thought a narcissist was somebody who was just conceited, who just looked in the mirror all day and thought they was all of that. That's what so when I kept seeing the word narcissist, I'm like, what? Like, so I eventually started looking up what the meaning of it was. And, and when I started to read it, I was like, this is what I'm going through. And then I started to read about narcissistic abuse. And I was like, this is what I'm going through, and the crazy thing about my relationship and how I knew I was a super empath is because I would naturally arm myself with like tactics against his behavior. Like, for instance, early in our relationship, when he would give me the silent treatment, I would ask him like, did I do something? He would say, no. Are you okay? Oh, I'm fine. And it would be like, so, I would say to myself, so why the hell are you acting weird? So in defense, I would give him back the silent treatment, which is crazy to say, but that's like something that a super empath would do. So basically he would come over to my home and we would both be sitting in the house quiet. He wouldn't say shit to me and I wouldn't say anything to him. And it would be for no apparent reason. Like the silent treatment would just be like, I don't know, but I would know, well, I would think that maybe he just need to cool off. Like maybe something happened with him and I'm not going to stir the pot. So I would just join him in the silent treatment. And either it would end up with him getting angry, or either he would jump right back into everything like nothing never happened and then start like a whole conversation. But sometimes it would last overnight. He would get up and go to work and he wouldn't have spoken to me for hours. And then the next day, either he would be angry that I joined him in the silent treatment, or he would either act like nothing never happened, like I said. So that was one of the ways that I knew that I was a super empath. But this was long after, when I started to do like research on my behavior and what I contribute to the relationship. And it was other behaviors. Like we would always get into arguments, and I would always defend like myself immediately. Like if he was gaslighting me, I would stand up and say, no, that did not happen. And I would, like, when you like empath would usually back down, would be hurt, would be, like me, I wouldn't back down. It would go on for hours. Like, you telling me I said something that I didn't say, and this person could be talking over me and I would still be, you telling me I said something that I didn't say. I know I didn't say that. You are making that, and nobody's being heard. Nobody. So eventually, after reading everything, I would say, "Oh, you're trying to gaslight me." I said, I see what you're doing. You're trying to gaslight me." Eventually, when I started learning the terms for it, I would call them out immediately. So that's another way I figured out that I was a super empath, because I was always defending myself and I was always fighting. I never really let him get away with any of the abuse. It was more like we were abusing each other, if that makes sense. And I'm not a toxic person at all, but I will stand up for what I know is right, and I will defend myself and stand up for myself. I was raised like that. You know, I grew up in New York City, and I've never been like, even as a kid, I didn't let bullies, bully other kids. I was always that kid that stood up for, other people. Even as a kid, I could remember living in Harlem, that there would be these young kids, these drug dealers. They were young kids. We were all young. A lot of kids got pulled into, certain behaviors, and they would always choose to like beat up homeless people. And these were like high school. This is when I was in like high school, and we would be cutting school or something. And I remember these guys would try to like show off in front of all the girls, which was us. And we would all be cutting on the subway or something. And they would try to beat up these homeless people. I would always jump in front of those homeless people and protect those homeless people. Say, "No, you're not going to hit him. No, you're not. Don't do that. That's not right." And stuff like that. I've always been that person since I was a kid. And also knowing at the time, my dad was actually homeless. My grandmother and my grandfather raised us, so we always had a home. But my parents, at one point, they were homeless. My dad was probably one of those people that maybe because he had mental illness was sleeping on the train. And so I've always went into protective mode. So even as a child, I would like jump in front of like, people I didn't know to protect them. So yeah, I didn't find out right away. This is just something that I found out after like years of doing research. And, I'm actually writing a book on my situation and, what I dealt with for years in a relationship with a toxic person. Like I said, he wasn't diagnosed. That was my self-diagnosis of him. But yeah, so that was how I found out that I was, just how I would defend the undefendable, and how I always stood up to fight for what I knew was right, and fight for myself, and, protect myself. I mean, I've never gotten to anything where it was physical. I've never been in a relationship where I was physically attacked, or like a domestic violence situation. But I've always, I'm not going to say always, but in that relationship, I always needed to stand up for myself and my children. And when I was trying to be isolated, when he wanted to isolate me from people and tell me this person is trash or this person is this, then I would need to stand up for the other people in my life that, basically I was, that he was trying to isolate me from them. But yeah, I feel like if you feel that you're in a relationship where you are being physically abused, I think you should leave. Not only should you leave, I think you should bring in other entities, such as maybe the law, like 911. I think you should get therapy. I mean, after my relationship, I started receiving therapy. I did therapy for a year and a half, and I am in a new relationship now, and I get a lot of triggers. So I have not started yet, but I do believe, being in a new relationship, that I think I should start back up therapy, because I am getting triggers, and it's crazy, but we'll figure it out, Um, but yeah, domestic violence, I think you should definitely leave. I think you should maybe get some type of domestic violence help, even if that's like placement in a home or a shelter, or, if your children are affected. I think you should get therapy for your children, because a lot of times our children watch this behavior and it affects them. We might think they're just children and it don't affect them, but it does affect them. To see someone yelling at your mom, or even if it's your mom yelling at your dad, and to say some of the things that is said in toxic relationship, that can really take a toll on a child, especially if it's just happening on a regular basis. So, yeah, I mean, even as far as narcissism, like I said, every other person and their mama is a narcissist today. So it's like we're living in a narcissistic world. So are we just going to dispose of each other, just throw each other to the side? I think we know how much we can handle, like, I think if you know you can't take anymore, you can't handle a certain aspect of your life or your relationship, I think you should leave that relationship. And the crazy thing about narcissistic abuse is that it is domestic violence as well. So if you're being financially abused, like to the point, let's say if you're living with a narcissistic person and you don't have your own money, and you don't have like family that can help you out, you can go to a domestic violence shelter. You can get help from any domestic violence shelter or hotline or anything, because narcissistic abuse is emotional abuse. So that is a form of domestic violence. So you will be able to get help, and you will be able to walk away if that's what you choose to do. I don't know. I just wanted to come and talk to you guys. I'm clearly in my pajamas, in my robe, and no makeup, but I love to do these videos. Lately, I'm learning. I'm trying to find my niche. I guess my niche is just, I'm a mom of 6 with 3 in the home, 3 young kids in the home, and 3 adult kids outside of the home. And I don't know what my niche is. I know I always talk to you guys about wanting to lose weight, which is not at this time successful, but I'm going to get there. I'm going to get there. But I just love to talk about different things, and I just love to journal. So that's what I use my channel as, just a journal to just vent. Maybe it's therapy for me. I don't know. But I love you guys, and I love to come and talk to you guys. I look forward to when I start getting my comments and reading my comments and talking about my comments. But this is a new thing for me. So thank you guys for watching my videos, and I hope you guys enjoy your day. All right. Bye. Love you.